The White House is reportedly preparing for what could become a prolonged military confrontation with Iran over the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical oil shipping routes. According to a report by Axios, US officials say the duration of the conflict will depend entirely on Iran's next moves. While the initial objective was to degrade Iran's missile capabilities and target its nuclear infrastructure, the focus has now shifted to ensuring freedom of navigation through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, this report claims that Washington is prepared for a military campaign that could last anywhere from a few days to several weeks if Iran continues attacks on commercial shipping. One US official is quoted as saying America is prepared to respond forcefully until Tehran changes its course. Diplomatic efforts, meanwhile, appear to have stalled completely. President Donald Trump of the US reportedly said the previously discussed 60-day ceasefire framework was effectively over following fresh hostilities. And the report also claims the US carried out another round of strikes near the Strait of Hormuz, while Iran responded by targeting US military bases in the Gulf. The article further states that President Trump later indicated that Tehran had expressed interest in reviving negotiations, although there has been no independent confirmation from Iranian authorities. Iran, for its part, has maintained that the Strait of Hormuz remains central to its national security interests. The report quotes senior Iranian leaders as warning that any military action would be met with retaliation and insisting that navigation through the Strait of Hormuz must align with Tehran's terms. Now, the report also says the Trump administration is now considering keeping the Strait of Hormuz open as a strategic priority to protect global energy supplies and stabilize international oil markets. Vice President J.D. Vance is quoted as warning that any attempt to shut down the waterway would trigger a military response from the U.S. Now, it's important to note here that these claims are based on the Axios report and they have not been independently verified.
We just hit them very hard, and I say we hit them 20-1. Every time they hit us, we're going to hit them 20. And we did it last night. They did a little something today, but it was really retribution for last night. They hit actually 3 boats, not 2. And when they hit, we hit back much harder. They called a little while ago. They want to make a deal so badly. I just don't know if they're worthy of making a deal. I don't know that they're going to honor the deal. That's the problem.
And now we have Major General Ashwini Sivach joining us on the broadcast. For more, Major General Ashwini Sivach, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on News9 in a crucial time. You know, less than 24 hours since Trump called off the truce. We are right now in a complete gray zone, and that's the reason why we here at News9 are trying to understand what exactly can we expect in the days and weeks going forward. And according to this Axios report, we could be witnessing a military campaign that could extend for several weeks. Would you agree with that?
Oh, very correct. See, Krishna, what now the situation is that everything is revolving around Strait of Hormuz. That in case the Strait of Hormuz is open, then everything is fine. But if the Strait of Hormuz is blocked by Iran, or Iran is basically hitting on those commercial vehicles which are going on the southern route, very close to the Omani coast. Now, why this confusion has arisen? If you see that Article 5 of MOU, it says that Iran will make arrangement that there is a safe passage of commercial vehicles in basically Strait of Hormuz. Now, Iran is trying to make use of it, saying that it has operation responsibility and it has a leverage on Strait of Hormuz, which is totally wrong. So the point today is on that everything will be revolved on Strait of Hormuz. If the Strait of Hormuz remain open and Iran does not interfere with the movement of commercial vehicles and it does not strike on those commercial vehicles, a possibility of this war ending is there, a peace plan coming through is there. But if Iran keep on striking, then obviously what will happen is that US will strike back. and US will strike back with a lot of might. But at the same time, you will find it the Iran will respond by then hitting on the military installations of US in the basically Middle East. So this sort of thing, if it happens, then it will prolong. You will find it for that sort of thing will continue, and Iran will try to make use of a leverage. Now, the two things are very important, Krishna. The point is, after the war has started on 28th February, there is no denying the fact Iran does not have the same military power what US and Israel has. But then what it has done, it has basically fought asymmetric warfare. Two things it has done. One is it closed the Strait of Hormuz, due to which the economy of the whole world was completely in doldrum. And second thing is it start striking on the military installations in the Middle East, by which there was a collateral damage to all these countries, whether Saudi, UAE, Oman, Jordan, Kuwait, and Bahrain, and due to which their energy sector is affected, their tourism is affected. Now, this is what the Iran is trying to make use of it. So overall, one can say it, the situation will now depend whether Iran will allow the commercial vehicle to smoothly pass or it will interfere with that. This will decide the future of the peace deal, which is likely to take place after 60 days.
Okay, the questions around that is definitely what is going to happen as far as, how is it going to affect people, be it the people living in the Gulf countries, people living in India who were just about, heaving a sigh of relief that their LPG shipments are, meeting the usual standards.
No doubt. See, the point is everything is dependent on this, because if the Strait of Hormuz is blocked, then you'll find that the 20% of the oil of the world go through this. And then you'll find the rates of oil going almost about $150 per barrel. It can shoot up within a week or 2 weeks. And also you find the share market going down. And it's not only oil, it will be also food, fuel, fertilizer. So everything revolves around to the Strait of Hormuz. And Iran possibly know that the Strait of Hormuz is a leverage. It is not going to leave it like this. And that is where there can be a problem between US and Iran. But one thing is also very clear is US prepared for a long war. As this article says, the problem is the US is not very keen to fight a long war, because the people is against this war. They thought this was never a war of US, it was a war of Israel, and they were caught in that. The popularity of Donald Trump is going down day by day. His approval rating is the lowest now. There are midterm election in November. So I don't think US will make a mistake of going in this war again. But at the same time, it cannot allow Iran to dictate terms in Strait of Hormuz. So there will be a no war, no peace situation, and this can prolong. And if this prolongs, it will obviously adversely affect the oil flow in Strait of Hormuz.
The reason why I asked the question, Major General Ashwini Sewaj, is because I want to understand, what are the, ways in which this conflict could flare up all over again. Do you think it's going to be focus specific, that the US focus all its military campaign around the Strait of Hormuz and the navigation? It's all about the ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz and Iranian military infrastructure, so to speak, which has already started striking? Or will it extend into the civilian space like the last time? Because we really don't know at this stage how Iran will respond to what the US does.
Absolutely. That I fully agree. It can get spiral out of control. US will like to only hit on those places which are basically helping the Iranian IRGC to strike in Strait of Hormuz. Though, of course, yesterday it has also hit certain bridges in the another part of Iran. And the railway bridges are now become non-operational, very close to Tehran. But all said and done, the focus of US is to make sure that the Strait of Hormuz is open and completely free. By doing this, it will strike on all the targets which are very close to Strait of Hormuz, whether it is Bandar Abbas, whether it is even Chabar, whether it is also Qasem Island, or whether it is the mountainous range where you can find the coastal batteries are there of Iran. But at the same time, what will be the response of Iran? That also makes a difference. Iran obviously is going to strike on the vulnerable targets in Middle East, and also these bases of US which are there, they will be collateral damage. To me, it looks like one thing more. Now, in case if the Iran keeps on blocking the Strait of Hormuz and it does not allow the commercial vehicle to go the routes which the commercial vehicles are today taking, by taking the coastal route very close to the one, there is a chances of US again putting a naval blockade. Now, if they put a naval blockade again, that will also make a lot of difference, because then Iran will also not able to take out its own supply of oil from Kharg Island. That is possibility, because that has made a tremendous impact last time when the naval blockade was put by US, and that is how Iran agreed for sort of a ceasefire and try to have an MOU. So there is a possibility of that also happening. But at the same time, one thing is very clear: the focus and the center of gravity of this war is now on the Strait of Hormuz.